Who said, "In the future, everyone will be world famous for 15 minutes"? This was said by the artist Andy Warhol. Warhol's best-known works include the silkscreen paintings of Campbell's soup cans, shown here. What is Japanese sake made from? The answer is rice. Shown here is a traditional sake bottle. The origin of sake is unclear. However, the method of fermenting rice into alcohol spread to Japan from China around 500 BC. What word designates the Christian military expeditions to recapture Jerusalem between the 11th and 14th centuries? The answer is the Crusades. Historians identify seven separate crusades initiated, supported, and sometimes directed by the Latin Church in the medieval period. Which constellation is shaped like a winged horse? The answer is Pegasus. The stars which create Pegasus are shown here, and here is an illustration to show the winged horse more clearly. Of the 5 Great Lakes, which is the only one located entirely in the United States? The answer is Lake Michigan. As you can see on the map, the other 4 Great Lakes have a coastline in Canada. What is the name of the tiny gaps in the human brain where a message passes from one nerve cell to another? These gaps are called synapse. Shown here is an artist's rendering of the site of transmission of electric nerve impulses between 2 nerve cells. The gap in between is the synapse. Which Mongol leader created one of history's largest land empires in the 13th century? The answer? Genghis Khan. By the end of his life, the Mongol Empire occupied a substantial portion of Central Asia and China. What Italian Renaissance artist is known for his portrait of a woman with an enigmatic smile, the Mona Lisa? The answer is Leonardo da Vinci. It is not known exactly when it was painted. It had been believed to have been painted between 1503 and 1506. However, Leonardo may have continued working on it until as late as 1517. What term describes the type of internal rhythms that occur regularly at about 24-hour intervals? The answer? Circadian rhythms. In J.R.R. Tolkien's novel, The Fellowship of the Ring, how many adventurers were in the Fellowship? The answer is 7. Published in 1954, the book tells the story of the Fellowship as they begin their quest to destroy the ring. What are the first 4 letters of the Greek alphabet? The answer? Alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. As evidenced by the 4 letters shown on the screen, the Greek and Arabic alphabet do have similarities. What North Carolina site has been known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic? The answer is the Outer Banks. There have been numerous shipwrecks here over the years, which are mainly due to the coast's shifting sands and inlets. What is the name of a person's back teeth whose purpose are to grind food? These teeth are known as the molars. The name molar derives from Latin molaris dens, meaning millstone tooth. What term, meaning great general, is the title for the military leaders who ruled Japan from the 1100s to mid-1800s? This term is shogun. Nominally appointed by the emperor, shoguns were usually the de facto rulers of the country. What animal's name literally translates to water horse? The answer, hippopotamus. Here we see a young hippo, but they grow fast. Adult males can weigh nearly 10,000 pounds. What is the most common element in the universe? The answer, hydrogen. Hydrogen, atomic number 1, accounts for about 75% of the universe's normal matter. Also the Italian word for tell. What is the name for an ending added to a piece of music? The answer is coda. In music notation, the coda symbol, shown here, resembles a set of crosshairs. What term describes a plant which takes 2 years to mature? The answer, biennial. Here we see parsley, which is an example of a biennial plant. What is the deepest point in Earth's oceans? The deepest point is found in the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean is nearly 7 miles deep. What is the longest and strongest bone in the human body? This bone is the femur. The femur length on average is about 27% of a person's height, a ratio found in both men and women. What is the name of the hotel in the movie Psycho? The answer, the Bates Motel. The Alfred Hitchcock-directed film was released in 1960. Which term from the French for rebirth describes the 14th to 16th century European movement that revived ancient values and styles? The term is Renaissance. Shown here is Florence, Italy, which is considered the birthplace of the European Renaissance. What sports Hall of Fame enshrined Abraham Lincoln for having a stellar record of just 1 loss? The sport is wrestling. Lincoln became the county wrestling champion at the age of 21. In the International System of Units, what is the definitive unit for length, or distance? The answer is the meter. What kind of triangle has two sides with the same length? This triangle is known as an isosceles triangle. Every isosceles triangle, in addition to two equal sides, will have two congruent angles. In what city and state is Harvard University located? Harvard is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Cambridge is a major suburb in the greater Boston metropolitan area. Harvard is shown here from the Charles River. Boston is on the other side of the Charles River. According to Greek mythology, who was the first woman on Earth? The answer, Pandora. The Pandora myth claims Pandora opened a jar, commonly referred to as Pandora's box, releasing all of the evils of humanity. What is the warm current of equatorial water that periodically appears off the coast of South America and causes water temperature to rise, resulting in atmospheric changes? It is known as El Niño. Developing countries that depend on their agriculture and fishing are usually most affected by this phenomenon. Who is credited with the invention of the revolver? The answer, Samuel Colt. He was granted the patent for his revolving gun on February 25, 1836. What is the name of the vascular organ in most mammals by which the developing young is attached to the wall of the uterus and receives food and oxygen? The answer, placenta. Who wrote The Old Man and the Sea and is considered one of the greatest writers of the 20th century? The answer, Ernest Hemingway. Old Man and the Sea was published in 1952. It was the last major work of fiction written by Hemingway that was published during his lifetime. What is the sedimentary rock which is mostly composed of calcite and is often used in cement? The answer, limestone. The limestone sample shown here is used in Guanxi, Chinese stone art. If a bottle of gin is labeled 84 proof, it contains what percent alcohol by volume? The answer, 42%. A drink's proof is twice its percent alcohol content. In what country is the world's most ancient forest? The answer, Australia. Daintree Forest in Queensland, Australia, is estimated to be 180 million years old. What disease is caused by bacilli that enter the body through wounds, causing stiffening of the muscles and thus often called lockjaw? The disease is tetanus. What ancient Greek philosopher was ordered to drink hemlock after being found guilty of corrupting the youth of Athens in 399 BC? The answer, Socrates. During his trial, Socrates defended himself. He was found guilty by a majority vote cast by a jury of hundreds of male Athenian citizens. Reflective, emission, dark, and planetary are the four categories of what heavenly diffuse masses of interstellar dust and gas? The answer is a nebula. Most nebulae are of vast size. Some are hundreds of light years in diameter. Shown here is the Cat's Eye Nebula. What is the date of George Washington's birthday? He was born on February 22nd. Washington was born on this date in 1732 in Virginia. What is the number of piano keys on a standard keyboard? The answer, 88. Of the 88 keys, there are 52 white keys and 36 black keys. What lake is famed for its deep blue color and water clarity and was formed when a volcano called Mount Manzano erupted? The answer is Crater Lake. The lake was formed about 7,700 years ago. Who was Sports Illustrated's first female sportsperson of the year? The answer, tennis player Billie Jean King. She was named Sportsperson of the Year in 1972. What personality type is characterized by the direction of interest towards oneself and one's inner world of experiences? The answer is introvert. Who is the author of the novel Les Miserables? The answer, Victor Marie Hugo. The book was first published in 1862 and is considered one of the greatest novels of the 19th century. What British primatologist is known for her extensive study of the behavior and social patterns of chimpanzees? The answer, Jane Goodall. She is the founder of the Jane Goodall Institute and has worked extensively on conservation and animal welfare issues. Identify the couple in Gone with the Wind who were played by Clark Gable and Vivien Leigh in the 1939 film version. The couple were Rhett Butler and Scarlett O'Hara. The film won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1939. Name the cells which help the body fight disease and are also called leukocytes. The answer, white blood cells. All white blood cells are produced and derived from cells in the bone marrow. By concealing soldiers in a wooden horse, the Greeks were able to enter what city? The answer, Troy. 30 of the best warriors were said to have hidden in the Trojan horse's womb and 2 spies in its mouth. Who was the first African American Major League Baseball player? The answer, Jackie Robinson. Robinson broke the baseball color line when he started at first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947. Who is known as the leader of the Protestant Reformation? The answer, Martin Luther. Luther was ordained to the priesthood in 1507, but came to reject several teachings and practices of the Roman Catholic Church. What kind of energy is given by an object in motion? The answer, kinetic energy. What halogen is most widely used to purify water in municipal water systems? The answer, chlorine. Chlorine is usually used in the form of hypochlorous acid to kill bacteria and other microbes in drinking water supplies. What sea is between Korea and Japan? The answer is the Sea of Japan. Like the Mediterranean Sea, it has almost no tides. This is due to its nearly complete enclosure from the Pacific Ocean. What does DNA stand for? The answer, deoxyribonucleic acid. What is the term for any of a genus of bacteria causing food poisoning and is named after an American veterinarian? The answer, Salmonella. That veteran was Daniel Salmon, shown here around 1905. In what year did the Cold War end? The answer, 1991. While the exact end date of the Cold War is debated, most agree the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. What American abstract expressionist created many works by dripping paint directly onto the canvas? The artist was Jackson Pollock. An example of this is the painting showed here, titled Number 1, 1949. Identify the 4 H's for which the 4-H Club is named. The 4 H's are head, heart, hands, and health. According to 4-H, the organization has over 5 million active participants and more than 25 million alumni. What is the programming language that is named for a French mathematician with a famous wager? The answer is Pascal. Blaise Pascal's wager argues that you should live as though God exists because if God does exist, you stand to receive infinite gains, and if God does not exist, you will only have a finite loss during life, time spent at church, etc. What son of Daedalus, using a pair of fabricated wings, flew too close to the sun, which melted the wax wings, and fell into the sea? The answer is Icarus. Icarus ignored his father's instructions not to fly too close to the sun. What is a female donkey called? A female donkey is known as a jenny or jennet. A male donkey, on the other hand, is known as a jack or jackass. Jane Eyre was written by which of the Bronte sisters? The answer, Charlotte. It was originally published under her pen name Currer Bell on October 19, 1847. What is the name for an ice-like formation extending up from a cave's floor? The answer is a stalagmite. On the other hand, a stalactite hangs from the top of a cave. Where is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame located? The answer, Cleveland, Ohio. Architect I.M. Pei designed the building, shown here, that sits beside Lake Erie and was dedicated on September 1st, 1995. What desert is the city of Las Vegas located in? The answer is the Mojave Desert. It should be no surprise that Las Vegas is the driest city in the United States. What large endocrine gland located in the neck affects growth and metabolism? That gland is the thyroid. Aristotle claimed that all matter on Earth was made of 4 elements. 3 were earth, air, and water. Name the 4th. The answer is fire. Aristotle was a Greek philosopher who lived from about 384 to 322 BC. Who created the animated series The Simpsons? The answer is Matt Groening. Groening also created Futurama. What is the name of the tiny packets of cells shed by most non-flowering plants or fungi that enable them to reproduce? The answer is spores. Mushrooms are examples of fungi that reproduce by releasing spores. What is the name of the second of the 4 basic phases of mitosis during which chromosomes align? The answer is metaphase. As shown, the chromosomes line up along the equator of the cell. A light year is about 5.9 trillion miles. Express that number in scientific notation. $5.9 trillion is 5.9 times 10 to the 12th. In decimal form, this number is a 5 followed by 12 digits before the decimal point. What politician, under whom Thomas Hendricks and Adlai Stevenson served as vice presidents, held the presidency for 2 non-consecutive terms? The answer is Grover Cleveland. Cleveland served as the 22nd and 24th President of the United States from 1885 to 1889, and again from 1893 to 1897. Who is often credited as saying, "You can fool most of the people most of the time," and "There's a sucker born every minute." The answer is P.T. Barnum. Although there is no actual evidence he was the first to say these phrases, they are commonly attributed to him. What three colors make up the flag of Italy? The answer is green, white, and red. Those colors are on the flag in that order from left to right. Identify both the chemical name of table salt and its formula. Table salt's chemical name is sodium chloride, and the formula is NaCl. Now, this is the name and formula for normal table salt. However, sea salt also contains some other chemical salts. What is the common name for the group of worms known as nematodes? The answer is roundworms. Many types of nematodes parasite humans and animals. In which European city would you find Orly Airport? That city is Paris. Orly is one of two international airports serving Paris, the other one being Charles de Gaulle Airport. What is considered to be the first disease wiped out by modern medicine? The answer is smallpox. Who is the composer of Fancy Free, the Jeremiah and Kaddish Symphonies, and West Side Story? That composer was Leonard Bernstein. Bernstein was the recipient of 7 Emmy Awards, 2 Tony Awards, and 16 Grammy Awards. Which battle of the American Civil War is considered the bloodiest day in American history? The answer is the Battle of Antietam. Fought on September 17, 1864, there were a total of 22,717 dead, wounded, or missing. What are the two main ingredients in the alloy known as bronze? The answer, copper and tin. Bronze consists primarily of copper, commonly with around 12% tin, and sometimes includes a trace of other metals as well. Grenadine is obtained from which fruit? The answer is the pomegranate. Grenadine is a non-alcoholic syrup that's renowned for its flavor as well as its ability to give a reddish or pink tint to mixed drinks. What river runs through Paris? The river is the Seine. There are actually 37 bridges in Paris across the Seine River. What character's marriage is depicted by Mozart and is also the title character of The Barber of Seville? This character is Figaro. The Marriage of Figaro and The Barber of Seville are both operas from the late 18th century. What are the two types of light receptors in the retina of the eye? The answer, rods and cones. Rods are responsible for vision at low light levels. Cones are responsible for vision at higher light levels. What organization, having a total population of almost 500 million, was joined by Romania and Bulgaria in 2007? The organization is the European Union. What astronomical term is Latin for little bear? The answer, Ursa Minor. Another name for this constellation is the Little Dipper. The weather phenomenon known as a waterspout results from what? The answer, a tornado over water. A waterspout is basically a whirling column of air and water mist. What computer hardware component is divided into chipsets like Northbridge and Southbridge, is connected to the microprocessor, and is the main circuit board? This is known as the motherboard. On the other hand, a device that is a single board with no additional expansions or capabilities is called a main board. The Greek gods were believed to reside on what mountain? The answer is Olympus. Olympus is the highest mountain in Greece. The Greek gods were believed to reside on its Mytikas peak. What is the more common name for solid carbon dioxide? The answer, dry ice. Dry ice is used commonly for temporary refrigeration because it does not have a liquid state. It goes directly from a solid state to a gas state. What TV show featured evil robots called Cylons? The answer, Battlestar Galactica. The original series premiered in 1978. A popular reboot debuted in 2004. What is the term for a narrow strip of land that connects two larger pieces of land? This is known as an isthmus. What legendary Jets quarterback guaranteed victory over the Colts in Super Bowl III? The answer, Joe Namath. The Jets did, in fact, defeat the Colts 16-7 in the game. What famous play by Arthur Miller depicts the Salem witch trials? The answer is The Crucible. The play was published originally in 1953. What is the easternmost Nordic country? The answer is Finland. As you can see on this map, Finland lies the most to the east. Name the 4 animals of the astrological zodiac that have 4 legs. They are the bull, goat, lion, and ram. The centaur, or archer, could be included in this list, but it technically is not an actual animal. What was the last currency to be used in the United States before the dollar? The answer is the continental currency. During the Revolution, Congress issued exactly 241,552,780 in continental currency. What state-sanctioned policy of racial segregation was opposed by Nelson Mandela in South Africa? The policy was known as apartheid. This policy was in place from 1948 the whole way until the early 1990s. What vitamin is essential for blood clotting and is the only vitamin produced by bacteria in the human intestine? The answer is vitamin K. Good sources of vitamin K are green leafy vegetables like collard greens, kale, and spinach. What river runs through Baghdad? The river is the Tigris. The Tigris is one of the 2 great rivers that define Mesopotamia, the other being the Euphrates.